You got dumped, and your ex, unfortunately, has an avoidant attachment style, either a fearful one or a dismissive one. But either way, you wisely went into no contact, which is absolutely the best strategy you can use if you want to get your ex to come back to you. But avoidant exes take a lot longer to come back to you than people with other kinds of attachment styles or people who have no attachment wounds. But the first thing that has to happen after they dump you is they have to regret losing you. So how long does it take for an avoidant ex to regret losing you? That's what we're getting into today in this video. Hi, I'm Coach Jeff Campbell, and I'm glad you're here with me. First, let's talk about the first 2 weeks after they dump you. I call this the relief phase. At this point, they are elated to be free of you. I know that's hard to hear, but they typically see their partners as needy, clingy, smothering, and controlling. And even if you don't think you were that way, they probably saw you that way. So right now, they're just breathing a deep sigh of relief to be out from under you and to have regained their independence. And they believe they've escaped the discomfort of intimacy. And you might notice either on social or hearing about it from mutual friends that your ex seems energized. They're more social than ever, and they're out there seemingly living life to the fullest without a care. And it doesn't seem at all like they miss you whatsoever. And this phase gives no indication of any level of regret. And it hurts, but take solace in the fact that this phase will not last very long, especially if you remain vigilant in your no contact. But don't expect being in no contact to trigger anything in your ex yet. Now we begin to move into months 2 through 4. And this is where initial regret might begin to surface, especially with the fearful avoidant. And remember, exes do come back about 55% of the time, and that includes avoidant exes, but just understand that fearful avoidant exes come back faster than dismissive avoidants and come back more frequently. And that's because the fearful avoidant switches to more of an anxious attachment style when their primary partner, you in this case, pull away. And they begin to notice gaps where your emotional support used to be. And remember, the core wound of the fearful avoidant is abandonment. And even though they left you, the fact that you're now in no contact is triggering that fear of abandonment in them. And that pushes them into anxiety. And the fearful avoidant especially might begin to reach out in little kind of breadcrumbing kind of ways. These are not going to be overt. They're not going to bare their soul and beg your forgiveness. They're just going to be tiny little bits of breadcrumbing to see if you take the bait and to see if there's any interest on your part in possibly reconnecting with them. But they're going to keep it very casual, non-committal, and they're not going to open up in any emotionally vulnerable way. And if they do reach out to you in this way, it doesn't even mean that they're ready to reconcile. It just means they're beginning to feel the loss of you and grieving the loss of the relationship. So if you get those kind of messages, I don't want you to ignore them if you want them back. But it's important that you respond in the right ways. For starters, don't respond immediately when they reach out to you. Wait a little bit of time, at least an hour. And then if they send you a text like, hey, or what's up, don't send them back a novel. Remember, they saw you as needy and clingy. So if you respond instantly, or you respond at length, or you're blowing up their phone left and right, triple texting, double texting, you're reinforcing for them that you are still needy, and they're going to flee in the opposite direction. So match and mirror their level of enthusiasm for you. And if you respond back to them and it takes them a day to get back to you, then you wait another day before you respond to that text. The dismissive avoidant, though, is less likely to be sending these kind of breadcrumbing messages. Now let's talk about months 3 through 6. And this is when dismissive avoidants begin to really feel the loss of you and the loss of the relationship. And dismissive avoidants, of course, take longer to process the loss than fearful avoidants do. And this is because they suppress their feelings a whole lot more than fearful avoidants do. And unlike fearful avoidants, whose core wound is one of abandonment, dismissive avoidants were made to feel like their feelings were unnecessary or a burden or outright wrong. And so they learned to not share their feelings with anyone out of fear for being punished for expressing them. But eventually, their delayed grief response does catch up to them, and they begin to grieve the loss of you and the loss of the relationship, but only if you maintain strict no contact. But they're not going to feel it on a deep emotional level, not yet. But they begin intellectualizing what they lost. They're not really feeling it on an emotional level, not yet, but they might begin to reach out with more practical excuses. They're not likely to send a hey or what's up, but they might send you a text saying, hey, I found your old shirt the other day. Do you want to swing by and pick it up? Or if they don't do that, they might suddenly increase their social media activity, knowing that you're likely going to see it. But even at this late date, many dismissive avoidants are really not yet ready to really do the work to fully work on reconciliation with you. Months 6 through 12. And I know this is an excruciating amount of time to wait if you do still indeed want them back. And you should not just be sitting around waiting to see if or when they come back. Remember, I said avoidants come back about 55% of the time, but that means 45% of the time they do not come back. And you do not want to waste months of your life waiting to see if or when that might happen. So get out there, live life to the fullest, and focus on becoming the very best version of you that you can be. Get to a place where you literally don't care if they come back at all. And you don't need them to come back into your life in order to feel whole and complete. And that indifference, that not caring, is actually going to make you more attractive in their eyes, because they will be able to feel your energy and know that they might be losing you for good if they don't take action. And they're beginning to feel really deep regret over breaking up with you and the loss of you and the loss of the relationship. And at this point, we're talking about both dismissives and fearful avoidants. Now, they haven't just been sitting around single this entire time. They may have had a series of casual flings, or maybe even be in a full-fledged relationship. It's not uncommon for avoidants to do what's called monkey branching, where they line up your replacement before they even break up with you. That way, they can jump right into a new relationship. So from your end, it looks like they broke up with you, and then days later, or maybe a week or two later, they're already in a new fully committed relationship. And it catches us completely off guard, and we really have no idea what the hell just happened. But guess what? That's really common with avoidance. So if they are in a rebound relationship or have had a series of casual flings, don't write that off as if they're never coming back to you. That's really common, and it's not going to prevent them from coming back to you if that's what's meant to happen. And every time there is a failed relationship or a failed rebound, and remember, rebounds have about a 75% failure rate, every time that happens, it reminds them that no one else can measure up to you. And they begin to realize that no one understands them the way you did. And they begin to realize that most people aren't going to tolerate their BS the way you did, because it's a lot of work being with an avoidant. I know. I've been with a few of them. And any sort of milestone, be it a holiday, a birthday, or an anniversary, is going to trigger deep regret in them. And every time they get triggered like that, it increases the chance that they might reach out to you at that point. But remember, it's still more likely that the fearful avoidant will reach out than the dismissive. And many dismissives will just continue to struggle silently. Now, and I know you hate to hear this, but let's talk about the 1 year mark and beyond after you got dumped. And I will say that the longer this goes on after you got dumped, the less likely it is that they're going to come back. That's just the harsh reality. And if you're already at the 1 year mark, while the odds are not zero, they're not very good. But if they're in therapy and they're exploring their own attachment wound and really getting to the core of that and trying to heal, that's a really good sign. And that work does take time. And if they're doing that work, that could very well lead them back to you when they're finished with that work or well along in the process. But others, especially severely dismissive avoidants, are probably never going to really emotionally open up, bare their soul, grieve the loss of you and the loss of the relationship, and really try and heal from it. They're just going to keep suppressing it, and they're going to find coping mechanisms that help them not really have to feel the feelings that are there, and they're going to suppress them as far down as they can make them go. And those coping mechanisms might include promiscuous sex, a series of casual flings, a full-fledged rebound relationship, while others might dive in headfirst into drugs or alcohol. Now let's talk about the things that speed up their regret or slow it down. So absolutely, you being and staying in full-fledged no contact and focusing on yourself and your growth is going to be your best friend here, because it means that you're not looking in the rearview mirror. You're not sitting around desperately waiting to hear from them. You are moving on with your life, and you're making your life better than it ever was when you were with them. And this is going to create FOMO in them, fear of missing out. And they're afraid of losing you forever. And not only that, but they're afraid they're going to miss out on this new, better version of you. Now, if they are in a rebound relationship, while I mentioned those have about a 75% failure rate, they do sometimes last anywhere from 3 to 6 months and occasionally even longer than that. And if they are in a rebound relationship, that will delay their emotional processing of the breakup. But life stresses, maybe a job loss, maybe the loss of a family member, things like that can actually speed the regret up because they will miss your emotional support during those hard times. But if your ex has a really strong support system, maybe really close friends, close family members, a really good solid support network, that can also delay their processing and their healing because they're not needing to rely on you for that level of emotional support. They've got plenty of other people to rely on. And lastly, you not fully being in no contact. Maybe you occasionally send a text. Maybe you've talked yourself into texting them on their birthday or your anniversary or a holiday. And you think you're helping. You think that occasionally reaching out just to let them know that you're there is going to make you top of mind and make them more likely to reach out. That is a terrible idea and it never works. So no contact means no contact. Do not initiate contact by any means necessary and do not look at their Facebook or Instagram stories because your name will show up on a list of viewers and it will make you look like a stalker. You want to get to a place where they feel like they don't exist in your eyes. And it's okay if that's not really what you're feeling on the inside, but that is absolutely what you want to project on the outside. The hard truth is, though, that some avoidants will never regret the breakup and never circle back around to you. And that's why you need to get to a place where you don't care either way. If they come back, great. You've got this amazing life and they're welcome to join you in it. But you don't need them to feel good about your life. And if they don't come back, you'll just find somebody even better. And some severe dismissive avoidants are actually just going to replace you as quickly as possible. And even if they never really feel that deep love for the new person, they're going to kind of go through the motions with them because it helps them not really have to deal with their feelings of grief and loss. And maybe with this new person, they're going to recreate all the same memories that they had with you. Go into your favorite restaurants, your favorite clubs, your favorite bars, and your favorite coffee shops. And it sucks. I know, I've been there too. But it helps the avoidant really not have to deal with the pain. And many will do that. Now, what does regret with an avoidant ex actually look like? First, there has to be some level of accountability. I know avoidants don't typically take accountability for anything. So it's unlikely they're going to really bare their soul here and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I totally screwed up by dumping you. Will you please take me back? They're not going to be that accountable. But any level of accountability from an avoidant is a step in the right direction. You also want to make sure that they're missing you and not just missing what you could do for them. That could be financially or otherwise. Maybe they share evidence with you that they're actually doing some sort of work on themselves. That could be therapy or some other form of mental health work. Even doing something like meditation, yoga, or martial arts is a step in the right direction. And lastly, if they're willing to have some uncomfortable conversations with you. Now, a word of caution here. Do not dive into uncomfortable conversations the moment you first get together after there's been some sort of reconciliation. That is not the time and place for that. Initially, you just want to have fun and reconnect and elicit positive emotions from each other. You don't want to have serious, heavy-weighted conversations really until you're back into a full-fledged relationship or considering doing that. So if they reach out to you and ask if you can get together and talk, absolutely take them up on that. But keep it light, keep it fun. Invite them over to make dinner at your place. Let them know that you'll get a great bottle of wine and you guys can catch up. Then just keep it fun and playful and see where it goes. No pressure. You're not labeling them. You're not pressuring them to do anything. You're not suggesting that you get back together again. Let all of those things be their idea.